Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for that kind introduction. For those of you who may not be familiar with Wegmans, let me start by giving you just a quick introduction. We are a regional chain of grocery stores based in the Northeast. Our headquarters is in Rochester, New York, which is about 2 hours from here. And as of yesterday, we now have 87 stores in 6 states. We are very, very proud of our store employees' ability to deliver incredible customer service, and we hang our hat on being able to help our customers live healthier, better lives by making great meals easy. And who doesn't want a healthier, better life? So when I first started working on today's presentation, the title wasn't going to be spelling them out. The title was going to be Plain and Simple. Product recalls plain and simple. So I thought, oh, it'll be easy. I'll just put the flow chart up and I'll just kind of walk them through the flow chart. And then when I put the flow chart up and tried to put it on one slide, and then as I got it onto one slide, the formatting got all wonky. It's like, maybe it's not as plain and simple as I thought it was going to be. So it became spelling them out, became the title. But really, the plain and simple way of explaining recalls is this. A recall means that our customers' healthier, better lives are in danger. And at Wegmans, that means all hands on deck. Anyone who works on recalls, when you get the notification that a recall that has been introduced to our company and we're working on it, you drop everything else that you're working on, and that becomes first priority until it has been resolved. So one of our first steps is learning about how we learn about recalls. Ideally, what we love to have happen is that a supplier will notify one of our merchants and will say, hey, just wanted to give you a heads up. There is going to be a recall. You have been affected. You will be receiving more information from us very shortly, but we wanted to let you know ahead of time. That's what we love to have happen. We love those relationships. However, it doesn't always happen that way. And so we also subscribe to something called Food Track, which is a subscription email service that monitors the newswire for recalls. And those are recalls that happen all over the world. So we have to look at all those food tracks and determine which ones we may be included in. We also work with another subscription service called the Rapid Recall Exchange, which is a program that has been instituted by the Food Marketing Institute here in North America. Sometimes we hear about a recall from our own internal quality assurance team, and when that happens, quite often the reason we know about that recall is a customer called to tell us about it. As an example, a few years ago, we had a customer that called in and said, hey, I just opened up a jar of applesauce and there was glass on top of it. Well, when our QA department started looking into it and they went out and started opening up jars of applesauce, they realized there was glass on top of it. And tracking it way back, it turns out that the manufacturer had just put a little too much torque on the lid that time. And on that particular batch, we got glass on top of the applesauce, but it was a customer who told us about it. And sometimes we hear about recalls through store notification, and usually that's a situation where it's a problem in one particular store. It may be, hey, we made guacamole today. We made a whole bunch of packages of it. At the end of the day, as we were cleaning our equipment, we realized that a nut was missing from one of the pieces of equipment. We can't find it anywhere. It's probably in one of the packages of guacamole. So in that case, that recall is just store-specific. We don't have to notify all of our customers chain-wide. So how we process the recalls, plain and simple, there's 2 steps. The first one, and most important, is remove it from commerce. So we have to identify the key people within the company, because with each recall, it's a different department and different buyers and different merchants and sometimes different stores that are included. So identifying those key people and then getting the product out of commerce. Notify the stores, get it off the shelves. Notify the warehouses, get it out of their stacking shelves and out of their pallets. Notify our distribution centers, because sometimes it's left one warehouse and gone out to another. And then also being able to notify our shipping and receiving areas, because sometimes the product that has been recalled is actually sitting on a truck moving down the road. And we have to make sure that when it arrives at a store, it doesn't get put out onto the shelf, that it stays out of commerce. The second step is for us then, once we get that done, then we start communicating with our customers. Sometimes that requires us to write a news release for the FDA. There's different qualifications as to when that may need to be done by Wegmans. But we definitely publish information to our product recall page on Wegmans.com. We notify our service desks of the details so that if customers start coming in and asking questions or wanting to return product, the service desk knows what the product is, what the details are, and how they should handle that. The big one that I will cover in more detail in a few minutes is we send automated phone calls to the customers who purchased that particular product in our stores, and then we use Twitter and we tweet about it. Whoever thought we would be tweeting about something that happened in our store? One group that works on product recalls, and I don't want to pass them up because they are so important. We actually have a call center. Yes, we have a call center. Yes, it's in Rochester, New York, and yes, it's run by our own employees. I call them the Angel Brigade because that's truly what they are. They are the angels who respond not just to recalls, but every customer inquiry that comes in, whether it comes through a tweet, through Facebook, emails, phone calls, and even snail mail, because a few people still use that. They document all of our cases into a program that we use called ePower Center, and that allows us to, later on down the road, run some metrics to figure out what our customers are talking about and concerned about. They also coordinate claims with accident services. So that person who found a piece of plastic in a box of cereal and cracked a tooth, that goes through accident services to make sure that the dental claims are taken care of. And the people in the call center also sometimes have to staff extended hours because recalls do not always happen Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. Usually Friday at 4:30 is when they happen. We can't call and customers don't call us Monday through Friday 9 to 5. They call at night. They call on weekends. Believe me, sometimes they call us at like 2 in the morning and they get angry because there's not someone there to talk to. But we will staff extended hours if it's necessary. So a little bit of trivia for you. We've been covering food recalls since our company was in business, which started in 1916, so we're almost at 100 years. But over the years, we're always thinking, what can we do better? How can we do better for our customers? How can we protect them? And so back in the late 90s, we started talking about the possibility of using automated phone blasts. And we went back and forth, pros and cons, lots of meetings, lots of opinions, identified some services that would be able to provide the automated phone call service for us, and decided late in 1999, okay, the next recall, we're going to do it. We're going to send out these phone calls. We're going to stake in the ground. We're going to do it. We made the commitment. And in early November of that year, the next recall came around. And much to our dismay, it was ground beef. And it was E. coli, and it required us to send automated phone calls for the first time to 190,843 customers. And we did it. God bless our souls. We did it. We made it happen. We had put the stake in the ground. We said, just because it's big doesn't mean it's not important. Let's do it. We learned a lot, and we have continued this process. Since then, our recalls have required us to send out calls to 2 customers and to 536,763 customers. That was a year ago, July, with the peaches, plums, and nectarines recall. When we send out calls, we're about 85% successful in reaching either a live ear or an answering machine. Approximately 0.004% will notify us and say, please take my name off your list. I don't want you to call me. Most people, surprisingly, it's amazing to me how many people, when we call them, say, I had no idea. We'll hear about a recall that is on every news station, every newspaper, every CNN ticker. It's everywhere. And when you call a person and reach out personally to them, they will say, oh my gosh, I had no idea. It's surprising every single time that happens. And over the years, since 1999, we have been successful in reaching 2,715,707 customers. And I put a little graphic there for you. As you can see, a majority, 61.4% is actually a live answer. And that number has risen with the popularity of cell phones. People aren't, waiting to get home to get their messages. They actually have their phone on them and they answer it as it rings. So the way we decide on whether we're making phone calls or not is based on a couple of different things. If it's a food recall, those are generally classified into class 1, 2, or 3. Class 1 being severe health consequences for the consumer and possibly death. Class 2 means reversible medical consequences for the consumer. If it's Class 1 or 2, we send out phone calls. In the case of general merchandise, such as a teapot, the way we do it, the way we make that decision, those aren't classified. So the way we make the decision is if the customer is using that teapot for the intended purpose and there's a danger associated with it, we will make the phone call. We will send phone calls out to them. So they're using a teapot, they're warming it up, it gets really hot and it explodes. We will make a phone call to them because that's the way they expect to use that teapot. So gathering data, we have a loyalty card, which at Wegmans is called the Shoppers Club card. And once we know that we've got a recall, we go back, we find out from our supplier, when did we first receive the product in our warehouse? We know when we stopped selling it, when we pulled it out of commerce. We have to find out which stores was it sold in, what's the UPC code, are there specific date codes involved, and then we pull our Shoppers Club data. So any customer who purchased the product and used their Shoppers Club card and they have an accurate phone number on our records, we are able to call them. We also eliminate any opt-outs, that 0.004%. We eliminate those people if they don't want us to call them. And sometimes we use the data to create geographic groups. A year ago, July, when we called over 536,000 customers, we can't do that in one phone blast. We can't even do that in 1 day or 2 days. That was a number of days in order to call all those people. So what we have learned in that case is if you're going to call, for instance, the people in Rochester, New York, you don't want to call some of them on Monday and some of them on Wednesday because they talk to each other and they say, well, you called my next door neighbor on Monday. How come am I not important to you? How come you didn't call me right away? So we create geographic groups. And darn it, if later on you think, boy, I wish that woman from Wegmans had talked longer, it's that lady in the back that made me stop. So I'm going to keep going. I got a lot more to cover. So I'm the person who actually writes the scripts for recalls, except today when there is a recall going on right now back in the office. I write the scripts, and it's my voice that calls you. If any of you ever got these calls, it's me. We need the exact product information, the description, what the label looks like, what kind of package, what department it's in, what's the size of the package, where is the date code located. We tell them the dates and times that they may have purchased the product. We give them a call to action, what they're supposed to do. And the clicker is, well, I have to keep it under 60 seconds because sometimes answering machines will turn off after that amount of time. Our learnings are if we call people about allergens or foreign objects, not very many calls will come back into our call center. If we call about an illness like E. coli or salmonella, there's the potential for more calls coming in. Common items, if they're recalled like water or ground beef, we're going to get a lot of calls because people are very worried. A lot of people eat that. They're worried about it. If it's a product that's related to pets or children, we are going to get a lot of worried and angry calls. Pets and kids are a big deal. And now she's telling me to stop, and I'm not done yet. So here's our challenges. Staffing to handle those incoming calls when customers find out about a recall. Deciding when to send the calls. There's different state regulations. In Pennsylvania, we cannot send out calls till 9 o'clock in the morning. And in Pennsylvania, you can't send out calls on Sundays until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And each state is a little different, so we have to keep straight. There's different regulations in sending phone calls between U.S. and Canada, and our Buffalo and Niagara Falls stores do have Canadian customers, so we have to create different scripts for them. Getting our customers to maintain their Shoppers Club data is always a challenge, and staying ahead of social media. People sometimes hear about recalls before we do, and they expect answers, but we have all this other stuff we have to do before we can give them answers. So customer responses, I'm giving you the whole rainbow. You called me again. I'm shopping at your competitor from now on because they never have recalls. Well, okay. This one, a customer who's, her husband is from the Finger Lakes. She's heard it for years. You've never been to a store, so you've been to a Wegmans. And then one day she received one of our calls and she was amazed. But my favorite part is this. Wegmans, the best thing to happen to us in 30 years. My husband was finally right about something. So I promised to spell it out. For recalls, we have to be reliable. When a recall happens, there's been an error, and we cannot afford to make another error. We need to contact those customers with the correct information so they can protect themselves, and we are also protecting our company image. We have to educate our employees so they can answer questions, our customers so they can make great decisions in their homes, and the media so they can help share the information. We console. This is the Angel Brigade. We console those customers who call and are worried. We have to answer their questions and help them get through that anxiety. We advocate for our customers. Sometimes we have suppliers who say, yeah, well, it's Friday afternoon, you know, we can get the information for you on Monday morning. No, we're advocating for our customers. We want it tonight. We need it now. We need to let these customers know. We also have to be concerned about logistics, making sure we get every single box of product out, including the ones that are on the trucks going across the roads. We have to listen to everybody, the suppliers, the media, the employees, the customers. We have to listen to everything to make sure we're handling their concerns and specifics. We have to be sure that we are giving the correct information out so our customers' healthier, better lives are protected every day. Thank you. Got a couple, one here and one here. Sir?
How often will retailers call
When we first started back in 1999, as best as we know, we were the second retailer to start doing it. Now it is common. I don't have numbers for you to tell you, but if stores have a loyalty card, it's fairly common that they are making the attempt to reach out, but it's an investment. Like I said, you have to have an Angel Brigade, and you have to have a real process in place to make it happen correctly. Yes.
So when you recall the product, what happened with it? Where does it go?
Okay, the question was, when we recall a product, what happens to it? Where does it go? That's part of the specifics and the logistics that we have to work on. It varies every single time. Sometimes we are told by the supplier that they want us to just destroy it, in which case it would be destroyed on premises at our stores. Other times the supplier wants it back because they may want to do testing. It may be something that they could repackage if it was a problem on a label. Sometimes they want it back. Sometimes it's a matter of we tell our customer to destroy it at home and not even bring it back to the store if there's a real concern with it. But we will get direction from our suppliers. We also work with our sustainability manager to find out the best way to destroy, because you don't want to be sending something to the landfill if there is a more responsible way to dispose of it. Questions? Thank you.